Are you making a few $1,000s a month, but still getting slightly nervous and a little bit emotional when you're getting objections on a sales call? Well, I've closed over $150,000 for myself and business partners over the last few years in online business. And in this video, I'll teach you not only why you have this weird emotional reaction to these objections, even though you know you can deliver results and you know you can close sales because you've done it before, but also how to get rid of the objections altogether. Because let's face it, nobody likes hearing, oh, I have to talk to my wife. I need to think about it. And those other objections on sales calls. Why not get rid of them altogether? Now, I'm not guaranteeing you that this is going to happen every time, but this is going to reduce the likelihood these objections come up in the first place. And this is not going to be through some new sales system or script, because you and I both know you don't need that. You've already watched these sort of videos before, but what I am going to teach you is a framework I've developed over the last few years called energy manipulation. First, I'm going to tell you a story so you understand the context. So this was about February of 2024. I was making a few $1,000s, about $5,000 a month in my coaching business. And whenever I hopped on these calls, I would still get kind of sweaty. And I'd get a little nervous. And I would start speaking faster, and I would get a little, and it's not good. I wouldn't be able to control my train of thought. I wouldn't be able to be present with the prospect. And it's because I didn't understand how to manipulate the energy on the sales call. It was never about the script. It was never about the objection handles. It's about making sure the prospect feels right. And what I realized is that the reason why I couldn't do this is because I didn't even hold to the standards which I wanted my prospects to hold to. Because at that time, I was a mindset coach for people who wanted to get into entrepreneurship just because I was already doing it for a while. Not just entrepreneurship, but just in general, like mindset, whatever. Anyways, so even though I didn't have the standards that I wanted people to hold to or the personal confidence that I needed to have set in place. Meaning when I hopped on the calls, I secretly didn't want them to reject me because I knew that meant that I wasn't where I wanted to be. Affirming the suspicions I had about myself rather than just getting by without doing so. And when I realized this, I started to do some thinking and I figured out how to change this. And this is the first step of energy manipulation. It's confidence. Because what is confidence? It's the lack of internal or external pressure to change. Now, this doesn't mean you just don't care and you don't do anything. What this does mean is that you can get on a call without this nervous, sweaty feeling like, oh no, what if they reject me in the back of your mind? Doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter why you're there. You're able to be present and focused on your conversation. And this is so powerful because remember how I talked about emotional reactions? Well, what is emotion? Emotion is just energy in motion. So we want to be able to control and manipulate this energy, but we can only do this if we have the confidence in ourselves. Now, how we get this confidence is not through getting a better sales script, because yes, that is important. But when you're making a few $1,000s a month, you have a viable offer. What's going to be more important is understanding the principles behind sales and being able to master that and understand and have emotional awareness rather than mastering your script or just following some script verbatim. Because then you can utilize these principles to change your script based off of who you are and the company you want to build, rather than some sales system from some agency or another coach. Next thing what you're going to want to do to be able to fully manipulate their energy. Now that you have a base neutral line for yourself, you're going to be able to have a bit of a better awareness of everything. And we need to make sure you have this awareness, because if you're not aware of things, then you can't control it. You can't manipulate it. And now we're not doing manipulation like we're trying to trick somebody, but wouldn't you rather have the prospect feeling nice and they feel like you're actually out to help them rather than you're just trying to sell them on something they don't even need? Well, if you do, then you're going to want to be able to have the energy be manipulated. Because let's look at it like this. If you're on a date with a girl, you're not going to be wanting to be on the date and feel tense and weird and awkward. You want it to feel fun and enjoyable and all right. And how we're going to do this is through being aware. And how do you do that? Because, you hear the what, oh, you need to be aware, you need to be confident. How you actually become aware is not only through having that neutral baseline, but getting clarity on the sort of values that you want to uphold in your business and who you exactly want to help. So what I recommend you doing is looking at your best clients and the sales calls that have gone the easiest and pinpoint certain behaviors, desires, and interests that these people have that everybody else doesn't. Because typically a majority of your income in your sales comes from like 10% of people and the other 90 or like 10% of types of people. And then from there, that's what you should look out for. And you should be aware of these things as well as being aware of who you are. What skills are you trying to develop? What beliefs do you want to have? And if you're not entirely certain on that, what you're going to want to know and the way you're going to want to know this is just first looking at who you want to be. And that's pretty much as simple as just asking yourself, like, what do you need to do? What behaviors do you need to have to be like that sort of person? And this is just going to be in alignment with the vision you have for your business and for your life. And then from there, we can backtrack to doing what can you do today to emulate those behaviors? In other words, like what values do you need to have? How do you need to act? So when you get on sales calls, how are you going to treat it? Well, how you figure that out is through figuring out what behaviors you need to develop. What skills do you have the biggest deficiency in? Because maybe it is emotional awareness. Maybe it's social acuity. I don't know, it's different for you than it is for me. Like one thing for me personally was honesty and clarity in this honesty. It wasn't just not having the intention to lie because I wasn't trying to lie to anybody, but it's about clear, intentional honesty and integrity, not only with myself, but with the prospect. Because when you can be honest with somebody else, you can be honest with yourself. So holding that integrity regardless. Because if I hold that integrity regardless and just share my authentic thoughts, not just on sales calls, but throughout the entire sales process and with connections, then I'm going to be able to have more integrity and therefore have more confidence and more awareness, being able to then do the next step, which is be assertive. You need to have the assertiveness. You need to be able to have the confidence, which is helping you the assertiveness, and also the awareness to know when to be assertive on sales calls. How do you be assertive? Well, let's look at it like this. Let's break down the word assertive. So you're asserting something, and assertiveness is emulating that. Well, what you're asserting is your confidence into the call, and that's a part of the energy manipulation. So I hope you see where I'm getting at. Each one of these steps plays into the next, so you need to be able to master all of them. It's not just one simple thing you can say or do to make it so it's easier to close sales. What you need to be able to do is assert yourself on the call in a way that is confident, authoritative, but also connecting to the prospect and showing that you care. And then that brings me to the whole energy manipulation as a whole. Once you have a neutral baseline, allowing you to be aware and assert yourself in the right way on the call, then what you're going to be able to do is identify, are they feeling like are they like pulling away? Are they giving, what that really means is, are they giving a lack of depth in their answers? Are they not really engaged in your conversation? Well, if that's the case, then you want to mimic their energy because then you'll have the chance to be able to be like, okay, is this somebody I'm going to want to work with? Or if you start mimicking their energy, just to give you an example, if you ask them, okay, so what's your goal? Like, what do you want to achieve? And they're like, oh, I don't know, I just want to make money. And you'd be like, all right, no problem, dude. I guess like, what do you want to get on this call for? Like, what do you want to talk about, man? Is there something you want my help with? Because like, I don't know, it just kind of sounds like you just want to make money. It's not, you don't have to exactly say that, but it's about how you say it, your body language, your tonality. And then once you can master these things, you're going to be able to manipulate the energy on the sales calls, allowing you to be able to uncover hidden obstacles, which you guys can face together. And then how you face these together is through diving deeper on these things and having the confidence to really dive deep on the pain and dive deeper on their problems. So by the time you get to the pitch, it's not even going to be a question for if they want to work with you or not. Yeah, you might have a little bit of some concerns sometimes, but If you can hold to the standards you want to have and you can be aware of where they're at with confidence in a neutral state on your own, you're going to be able to have the confidence to dive deep on their pains, their problems, and other things that you can foresee coming up in the future as future objections, which you have faced before. And then just dive deeper on those before you pitch, because worst case scenario, you figure out they don't have money and they're in a really painful state, and then either you don't pitch to them now or you do pitch and help them figure out a way on how to pay. But instead of it being treated as an objection, you guys tackle it together as an obstacle earlier on, but you can only do this when you can master energy manipulation. Think about it like this. Right now, you're going uphill and you're pushing a very heavy boulder and you're trying to get it up the hill. Dude, if you just move to the side and let it roll down and then get back on the hill and start walking up, I mean, sure, it's going to be a little tough, but it's not going to be nearly as hard as if you were pushing this really heavy boulder up the hill. It's just like your sales process. Right now, that's what you're doing in your sales process, trying to push and push and push your way through, but you can only, keep walking once you get rid of that boulder that's stopping you from moving up. And right now, what you're trying to push through is push through these objections, just make them buy, make the sale. But instead, just take a step back, observe, be aware, be confident, and then walk right back on. You don't have to push. And if you keep pushing, and let's say you keep going back on, and there keeps being these boulders, maybe take a step off for like a day or two. It's the same thing in your sales process. And if you want to really be able to master energy manipulation and understand how I've done this for myself and business partners to the point where we've closed $20,000-$30,000 worth of sales in a month, then click the top link in the description to join my free community where I'm going to give you free one-on-one training, as well as giving you a network of guys who are in sales themselves to make sure you can master this energy manipulation, actually be confident on sales calls, and not have to worry about these objections again. That's all. Peace.